Welcome to our very special Unlocking Cybersecurity Potential, a Lockheed Martin Career Showcase. We're so excited to have you joining us, whether you're signing in from LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Thank you for joining. We are going to give everyone just a couple minutes to hop on and join us. Please feel free to join in the discussion. We'd love to hear from you. Love to hear your experiences, questions. So hang tight. We'll be getting started here in just a couple minutes. Thank you for joining. We are thrilled to have you here. This is the Unlocking Cybersecurity Potential, a Lockheed Martin Career Showcase. And we're very excited to have you joining us. We are letting folks have just a couple moments to join us. And we're thrilled about the panel today. You're going to take away so many great insights into the potential of cybersecurity careers. It is a wonderful time to be exploring cybersecurity if you're newer into that. And for those of you who are more experienced, you will be really excited to hear from our panel today. And our session is sponsored by the STEM Council for Good. And the STEM Council for Good is a organization. We partner with diverse nonprofit organization and STEM companies, and it's to create pathways for anyone who is interested in STEM careers. And we do that by partnering with job seekers, with nonprofit organizations and companies that are just excited to facilitate the momentum in cybersecurity careers. And it is part of the Impellum Group's commitment to ED&I and supporting STEM at all all levels. So we're going to just give just a moment. I'm going to pop off here for a second and we'll be right back. So again, this is Shellen Briand. Thank you so much for joining. We are very excited to have you here, and I'm thrilled to be your host for today. I am part of the Lorien organization, the partnership manager, and we will be discussing the rapidly growing opportunities in cybersecurity and specifically STEM careers and unlocking the opportunities at Lockheed Martin. They have so many exciting opportunities, and we'll show you how to get into those jobs here quickly. And we have just an incredible panel of experts today. And I'm going to go ahead and take a moment to introduce them. And first we have Danny Cohen. And Danny, I'm going to bring you on here. Welcome, welcome. It's so nice to have you here. And Danny is a STEM staffing expert. He has had the opportunity to have 20 years of experience and all across the world in the UK, Europe, North America, and currently is the head of STEM North America for the Impellum Group. Danny oversees the divisions for Lorien, SRG, Bartech, and is passionate. He is passionate about diversity and equity and inclusion in the STEM industry. It's been a lot of fun to work alongside with Danny. I've followed him to our current organization, and he really walks the talk. He is part of the 50/50 Women on Boards in the Austin Committee and the San Diego Tech Hub, the Women in Tech Rocky Mountain chapter and in Texas. And he is the founder of the STEM Council for Good, which provides pathways, as we spoke about. So, Danny, why don't you just take just a moment to share your vision for STEM Council for Good, and then I'll continue introducing our special guests.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And it's an honor to be here and moderate this panel today. Um, yeah, I think when I first joined the Impellum Group, I got the opportunity to meet Claire Marsh, the CEO of North America. And we talked quite openly about creating pathways for the underserved and underrepresented. And we know no better way to do that and to help people get jobs, level them up, both by upskilling and uplifting their confidence and creating a pathway for everyone and anyone that is looking for an opportunity. Today, if you consider what we have a partnership opportunity with Lockheed Martin, and to really talk about their opportunities where they are helping create pathways for everyone in the cybersecurity market, given it's probably one of the hottest words at the moment, the hottest skill set. What we are trying to do is create not only the opportunity for everyone to get a job, but also the experts already there, and because they have jobs at all levels. For me, the STEM Council for Good isn't just that market. When we talk about STEM, we talk about many things. But if you really consider it, and from my point of view, we have three organizations, as Shellen was alluding to, in Lorien, who are specialists in technology staffing, SRG, which is life sciences, and Bartech, which is engineering and energy. And if you think about the sort of people we're placing, usually it's from 3 to 10 years. So we do this because it's a free organization where we really want to give back to everybody else who's trying to get into these markets. And no better way from the programs we already do and with the organizations we already operate in. So I'm very proud that Claire signed it off and support these initiatives. And I've seen thousands of people change their lives by just getting an opportunity, which is really what this is about today, is giving people an opportunity to hear from the customer themselves, hear from expert recruiters who can tell you about how to navigate and how to create your right brand, how to storytell, how to interview, and how to get those skills that will set you on the path to your journey of becoming either a cybersecurity expert or whatever it is that you're looking for in the STEM market. So that's why I'm very excited about it. But back over to you, Shellen.
Yes, thank you so much. I am actually going to have Haley Baston join us now. I'm really excited to have you here, Haley. Haley is part of the Lorien team, and she has a genuine passion for our topic today. This is something that she has really chosen to specialize in. She is a cybersecurity recruitment expert. And Haley, I'd love to have you just give a moment of insight into what is it about cybersecurity that really captivated your attention and led you to specialize in this?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shaylin. Hey, everyone. My name is Haley Baston, and I am so excited to have the opportunity today. And I just want to thank both Shaylin and Danny on this platform to give me the opportunity to be able to speak on something that I am very passionate about. I have been in cybersecurity recruitment specialization for the last 4.5 years of my career. And the reason that I really chose to dive into cybersecurity is because it's the future, right? So this market is a growing market and it's rapidly growing, but I believe that there's a gap in the market right now. So I'm really here to bridge that gap between opportunity and technology. And I'm really excited about where this is going to go.
Oh, fantastic. And I want to take just a moment before we introduce our other panelists to make sure that those of you who are joining us know that we have a registration link, and we're going to talk about a lot of resources and opportunities and let you know about over 150 available cybersecurity jobs. And some of those are internships and entry level. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up a slide here. It's going to have a QR code and it will lead you to a quick form, and you will know that you'll get all of the information that we're sharing today, so you don't have to worry. We'll be buzzing through quite a few of those things. So give me just a moment and I'm going to pull up that slide. I'll give you that QR code. And then I'm also going to bring up another, there's a QR code and there's an event that Lockheed Martin is hosting here. It's an interview event. And then we will be back with the rest of our panel. Okay, perfect. So why don't we, Danny, why don't we go ahead and share a little bit of insight into the recruiting side of where some of the challenges are? I know that you had a chance to meet some of the Lockheed Martin team, and they shared with you that there is so much opportunity that they just their company alone has over 150 open positions. And there's just this huge gap, and we see that in other technology areas, but right now it really is unique in the cybersecurity, just the demand. So maybe you could share just a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think just in general, if you consider the market from a technology point of view, already it's very hard to find specialist talent. And if you consider the specialist talent out there, and the demand for talent is still super high. I know people are questioning the technology space right now. There's a bit of ups and downs with the market, but actually it's still very tough to find these niche candidates out there. So what we try to do is create pathways through very, very various means, such as working with community programs, working with companies like CodePath, who give people the opportunity to upskill so that they can get these opportunities to get jobs with a company like Lockheed. If you think about Lockheed Martin, yes, they're in a space where you need security clearance. So that in itself is one, it's hard to get, but then look at the underserved and underrepresented communities such as veterans and military spouses. There is opportunities to bring so many people in, but people don't know how to get these jobs, how to meet people like Tish, who we'll be seeing very shortly. And I think you sometimes it's like it's not what you know, it's who you know. So I think it's really when you're looking at a job, it's going into the site, seeing what opportunities there are and trying to find the hiring managers. So hopefully today we're giving you access to those people straight away.
Perfect. And I'm really excited to introduce Peter Bagley. And Peter is a cybersecurity expert, and he has over 21 years of experience in the field. And this Lockheed Martin event is very tied into this government sector. And Peter has a huge background from his career in the Army, where he worked in various positions, including network administrator, system administrator, and information security officer. So you really learn on the front lines. And he worked after the Army as a senior cybersecurity engineer for several large government agencies and as a cybersecurity professor at the University of Phoenix and St. Petersburg College. He is passionate about educating the next generation of cybersecurity professionals and is actively involved in the cybersecurity community. And Peter has just wonderful insight from both that experience side and those that are getting started their career path, and being able to give some terrific resources. So welcome, Peter. It's so nice to have you here.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Perfect. And so, Danny, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you to start some questions, and we will get going. And then we're really excited to have Tish from Lockheed Martin joining us. She is part of cybersecurity is systems. So she's getting on and working through their security to get access to the event. So we will bring her on and introduce her as soon as she's able to join.
You know what I love the most? I love that no matter how much we plan or prepare for these things, when you've got a Lockheed Martin company, they're obviously very strong on their security, so much so that we've had to find another laptop to actually get them on site. So bear with us while we bring in Tish. So I believe we've got Haley coming on as well. So, but I'm gonna start getting into it. So firstly, thank you everyone for joining. We had a lot of people sign up. If you couldn't join, we'll have this recording, will be sent out. But welcome to all our panelists, well, Tish to come, and our audience members. So we're here to talk about Lockheed Martin and cybersecurity opportunities. And in addition to open discussions about the challenges, trends, career growth, recruitment strategies, and far, far more. This is a live session that will feature lots of usable content, job links, resources shared from beginning to end. So let's get right into it. All right. Well, as I mentioned, I was very, very honored to be here. And I'm going to start with a question around essential skills and qualifications that lead to success in cybersecurity. And how can professionals stay ahead of the curve? So let's start with you, Peter, as an expert trainer and thought leader in the industry.
Well, thank you again for inviting me to this event. But a lot of people nowadays seem to be shifting career paths due to downsizing. They may be capped out in some of the things they're in. So the cyber field is really expanding, but right now there's about 44 million jobs still available in cyber because they don't have enough people to fill it. So there's a lot of things that are shifting. So in most cases, people who are interested in getting into cyber, the first thing I would say is get an idea of what you may want to do, because it's a very, very wide field. It's kind of like going to the medical field. You say you're a doctor, but you may not even work on people. You may be working on animals. You're a vet, right? So you have no idea what that term means when you say cybersecurity. So that's a great place to start. Just kind of get a general idea and look across the plane and just don't get set in one area.
I love it. Thank you so much, Peter. I didn't know that I should know this from a staffing point of view, how many jobs are out there. I got excited to help so many people find jobs. But wow, that is a huge demand. So Haley, as a senior cybersecurity recruiter, what are your thoughts?
I definitely agree with Peter, right? Because at the end of the day, you can go to school, get your education, get all these certifications. But really what I want to highlight and emphasize on this call is the power of relationships, right? Because a lot of times your entry level role is not going to be what you want. It's going to be by a handshake that maybe you were scared to make at first, but can get your foot in the door to be able to get you that first opportunity to then eventually get into what you want to do. I think in cybersecurity, you have to think about the long-term play. So while I could sit here and tell you all the technical skills that you need to be acquiring, which is important, right? Because who gets you in the door, but what keeps you at the table. So at the end of the day, you need to be simultaneously working both pathways, making those connections. Connect with me on LinkedIn. If you're not connected with me, get in my network, because I may not have an opportunity for you right now, but I'm reposting jobs every single day. I may know someone in my network that I can connect you with. So while you're in school, getting these certifications, while you're strengthening your skills through these different workshops, attend the networking events. I know a lot of time in tech, we want to be heads down to ourselves, but at the end of the day, you have to explore and get out there and put yourself out there. That's what's going to make you stand apart in this era, right? So how do we fill that gap? It's strengthening our communication skills. It's all of the interpersonal skills that you need to be able to really make you go far in your career. And being able to maintain and strengthen those relationships along the way is really going to get you farther than what you know.
I love that. And, I love this quote: your network is your net worth. And it is about getting out there and finding the value in those connections, because you never know. It could not, you might assume that one person, well, how can they add value? Well, firstly, try to add value to them, but also they can add value by just that one extra connection that could change your life. And Absolutely. The one extra thing I'd also say, and, it's a kind of live and learn experience, but for men, we seem to find it very comfortable just apply to any jobs. We feel we're confident we can do it. Women, sometimes there's been a kind of myth, but it's also a fact that women sometimes won't unless they're 9 out of 10. When in doubt, send your resume out. The worst thing that can happen is someone says no. But the even worst thing that can happen is you don't give yourself that opportunity. Thank you so much for that excellent information, team. I hope all of you are having the opportunity to take notes. Please share where you are. Please share your LinkedIn so we can connect together. Because this is what everyone needs to hear from our experts to stay ahead of the curve. And speaking of expertise, as we all think about building and expertise and collaboration, I believe it is important for job seekers to understand cybersecurity and the importance of becoming and being a subject matter expert. Haley, back at you. From your perspective, why is being a cybersecurity subject matter expert vital for today's audience and the industry?
Great question. So, as Peter had mentioned in the previous question, cybersecurity is so vast, right? So, of course, you can go into the general pathway and kind of be familiar with, all the different things within cyber. But if you have a niche, if you're able to really specialize in one area, that makes your value go up 10 times more in the market, because a lot of people in these roles are looking for people who have specific areas within cyber. And it's not just cybersecurity, it's with anything that you do. If you're able to specialize in a market, it makes your value go up. So that's one reason why being a subject matter expert in my recruitment field is such a leveraging point for me, because at the end of the day, I'm talking to so many people across cyber that I'm able to really understand what roles are going to be best for them and what they're looking for to really help them create the life that they want, because your job is one of the biggest decisions that you make in your life. Therefore, you want to go into something that you like. You want to be in a culture that you love. You don't want to be in a job where you're just going to be for 3 months. You may maybe gain some experience, but don't really take anything out of it. So really being able to specialize in what it is, that you're good at, right? Because a lot of times we want to go after things that we love, but what are you good at? How can you sharpen those skills? If you're really good at being technical, then maybe compliance isn't going to be the best area for you, right? Because that's going to be a lot of policies and procedures, a lot of writing. So really hone in on what it is that you are good at, what you like. I would say let what you love come second, because a lot of times when you sharpen what you're good at, you begin to love it. So really being able to become specialized in a field is crucial in the cybersecurity market, because there are so many different domains, and it really allows you to become a threat in that cyber community when you're able to specialize in something that no one else is really looking at. So I would definitely emphasize, if you have a career pathway, to keep going down that pathway and really sharpen those skills.
And Danny, can I chime in for a second on what Haley said?
Oh, I was going to go over. Hey, I was going to go. Hey, Peter, talk to me.
No problem. A SME is a very big word as well, because you can be a SME in your own right, but you still may not be the major expert in the subject. And I say that because a lot of people ask, okay, well, how do I become a SME? $100 question. Well, you have to start. It's kind of like you crawl, walk, run, more or less. I guess the best way to say it from the military. And you basically learn the skill that you're in and get good at the skill. You may be a system administrator. You may be a network administrator. Learn that. Because the irony is you're still doing security even in that role, but you just don't realize you're doing it. And as it grows, then you can now add a little bit more from the security perspective to become that rounded SME that people may want in that area. The other piece as well, not everyone, as I call it, is a key banger. They may be leaders, or they can manage. And the other thing about IT and cyber as a whole, project management is a huge piece of cybersecurity, because if you can manage people, money, and things, you can manage that for anything. And cyber is no different, because we have to have the equipment and the right people to do the work.
It's very transferable skills. I completely agree. And it's funny when you talk to veterans, you hear a lot of what they've done throughout their career has got to that point where they're transitioning out, and they've got all this skill set straight away that they can just move straight over. So if we carry on in terms of, thinking about cybersecurity, we generally think about it as kind of solving problems before they happen. But we all want to know what the challenges and trends in this industry from your point of view are, team. So, Peter, what is the one biggest challenge you have seen as a cybersecurity expert? And if you can share that with our group.
Well, there's a few. You spoke of being a veteran, which I am. And from the military perspective, we're kind of compartmentalized in how we think and what we do. That's just how we're trained. But when you get out and come
Yeah.
into the civilian workforce, it's a little bit different. So being able to transfer what you did in the military into something that someone can read on a resume and say, okay, this guy or gal can do this because I can understand it. That's where the difficulties come in sometimes. That's where people like Haley and other people in the recruiting area can help you kind of dissect that and put it to a realm where a recruiter somewhere else may see it and understand exactly what you offer. The other part too is students. A lot of students, they go through the courses, they get their degree, and then they're like, okay, but I can't get a job. And that's
Yeah.
another path that they have to look at, because now you have to say, okay, what am I doing to try to get myself into the field more to get a job? You may have to volunteer. There may be internships that companies offer. I know Lockheed offers some internships, and there's some other companies as well. And you kind of just got to put yourself out there, and mainly, like Haley said, you got to basically get out there and network. Be it LinkedIn, be it going to a conference. We just had a cybersecurity conference here in Tampa. It was a Tampa Security B-Sides. We do it annually, and we had almost 1,800 people here from all walks of IT, all backgrounds, students, military, civilian, but we all were creating that synergy relating to the subject of cybersecurity. So things like that help a lot.
Yeah, and when we're going back to, and if it's okay, Peter, if I can just ask you your point of view on this, what have you seen the biggest challenges? Because I'm sure a lot of people here are thinking, yeah, but it's not as easy. When I go to these events, there's 1,800 people. Where do I begin? Where do I start? And I usually say to people, well, find that person who's alone, go and speak to them. Because I know it's very hard just to go into a group when you're seeing 3 or 4 people talk. But what would be the piece of advice you would give when you're at these, when you're at the Tampa event with 1,800 people? What did you notice and observe when you were there?
Well, at our B-Sides, because it's such a wide audience, I always tell people just meet one person. I mean, you have to kind of crack the egg sooner or later. So just say, hi, I am. And they'll probably say the same thing. And now you can talk and have a little more conversation. Then you meet another, you're in the same process. So for people who are introverts, which a lot of people in IT are, that's tough for them. But once you start it, you'll find out that that person really is no different than you are. And you're both looking for the same things. And that's how you start the process.
Love it. Thank you, Peter. Over to you, Haley, about, if you think about the biggest challenges you're seeing from your recruitment lens for the cybersecurity experts out there, what is the biggest challenge they're facing?
So I would say, like Peter had said, it's those people who are hungry as a student trying to break into the cyber field and people trying to transition into cyber, right? So that's why I really say sharpen those intangible skills that you bring to the table, because when you present your resume as a student or someone transferring in, well, we know you don't have the best experience, right? That's why having the connection of someone who can really advocate for you on the back end, like me, partnering with someone like me can really do that for you to the client, because we have direct manager contact. Well, okay, yes, you may have to work with them on their network security skills and help them mentor them through a little bit, but this is someone who's going to be with you long term. This is someone who is dependable, who is going to show up and has integrity, right? So I'm really able to vouch for you on that back end when we have that relationship and you're willing to step out and create those different connections. I also think, it's really hard for people who are students trying to break into an entry-level role because, like Peter said, they don't know how to translate their resume. They're hearing so many different things. That's why something like this is so important, where we're willing to educate people on what it is, the reality of the market, right? Because you hear different recruiters say, oh, you need 10-page resume. Well, for me, if you come to me, you need a 1-page resume, right? So it's going to be different based off of your relationships and what information you're listening to. But that's why you have to check the credibility and validity behind the people that you're working with. Working with me in a company like Lorien, we're going to ensure that you get the best experience that you need while looking for your next position, right? And, you may not be the most technical or subject matter expert in your area, but if you're working with me or someone from Lorien, we're going to figure out what are those strengths that you have to bring to the table that we can advocate on the back end? Because at the end of the day, the client is just looking for someone who's capable of filling the role, right? So that's why I said I'm here to bridge the gap between opportunity and technology, because the technical person, the candidate may not be able to translate that. But if I'm able to communicate for them, then that makes the job a lot easier, right? And same thing with the client. A lot of times we find with the client, sometimes they don't even know what they're looking for. until we really dig in and ask those questions. Okay, well, you said you need a general security analyst, but it looks like you may need more of an engineer here. So having someone who's specialized like me to be able to have those different conversations and dive in on both sides, it really allows the miscommunication from both ends to bridge that gap.
Danny,
I love that.
Can I add to that real quick?
Oh,
she said some really great stuff on that one.
Of course.
As far as interpretations of what the job may be, because a lot of HR managers, they receive the job description from someone who works in that section, and then they just post it. They have no idea what the acronyms mean. They really don't understand what the job itself entails, but they're just copy paste, if you want to say that. And I tell a lot of my students, go out on Indeed, LinkedIn jobs, and put in whatever job you're looking for. If you want to be a network administrator from the security side, put it in. And just look at all the various jobs to come back, but look at the descriptions and the responsibilities that they're requiring for that job. And if you see this is what you do, then you may fall right into that category, even though it's not named what you do, but it is what you do. It's just worded wrong. So going back to your point earlier, my theory is you're 100% lost if you never ask or apply, and you're 50% gain if you do. So take the 50-50 shot. You got nothing to lose.
I love that. I love that. So just a couple of things on that. So you talked about job adverts, and I think my advice to the audience today is look at jobs that are being posted and reflect or try to mirror the resume without lying, obviously. Try to mirror the resume. So you talk about your roles that are in synergy, so that when you're applying, people will pick up, hey, they've done exactly what we're looking for. And it shows that you're listening, you're kind of getting educated at the same time. I think the other thing that I've seen on what we're hearing, as well as what I'm seeing on the chat, is mentoring, advocates, allies. They don't know unless you approach them. So, if you go to LinkedIn and you type in cybersecurity expert, you see the people in the room today, in Haley and Peter. You've got people who are experts at what they do. And there are a lot of people who want to give back and will find the time. So I know, it might be hard for you to go and approach those people. Like, Peter, you were talking about there's a lot of intrinsic, people are introverts and they find it hard sometimes. Honestly, by approaching someone on LinkedIn or in just life and asking them for some help, I promise you, people are willing. People want to help. It's actually quite a power move because you make someone feel very important when you go, hey, can you help me? I'm like, oh, I can help you. I'm here for you. What do you need? So, and I think sometimes I do a lot of mentoring and I love it. I get as much as the person who I mentor do. There's a lot of reverse mentoring as well, where they give me feedback. And I always ask for that. What could I have done differently? How could I have communicated better? But ultimately, we're all people, all trying to help each other out. And again, going back to my earlier thing, when in doubt, just send out your information, get yourself out there. All right, so I'd like to move on, and I want to talk about trends in the market a little bit as well, and trends in the field, and in terms of initiatives that you're seeing. So if you look at the trends you're seeing in cybersecurity right now, what's hot, what's not. What are the things that you're seeing right now for the people in the room who might be looking for a job or want to upskill? What are the things that you feel you're seeing that companies like Lockheed Martin are looking for in terms of hiring? Oh, and we have Tish join the room in her car. Hey Tish, how you doing?
Yes, how's it going, Danny? It's those cybersecurity filters that didn't allow me to get in.
You know what? It shows the Lockheed is tight, and if you're in, you're in, and if you're out, you're definitely out. So it's lovely to have you here. It sounds like you're in a helicopter, but I know you're in your car.
Yeah.
Tish, would you like to just do a little bit of an introduction to you, and then I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, if that's okay, straight away from the bat.
Sure, sounds great, Danny. I'm Tish Rourke. I'm the Vice President for Cyber and Intelligence for Lockheed Martin. I've been doing this job for a little over 2.5 years, but I've been working for Lockheed Martin for over 35 years. So great experience, great company, wow. And just it's amazing being part of this cybersecurity field.
And I just want to say thank you for joining us. Peter and Haley have been asked a lot of questions and they've been phenomenal answering them. But if it's okay with Peter and Haley, and Peter and Haley, please jump in at any time to add in. So I want to ask some key questions to Tish, if that's okay. And then we'll go back into the normal swing of things. So Tish, get ready for the the questions. Okay, they're going to be peppered a little bit.
You're gonna
It's a speed dating, speed question, whatever you want to call it. So we're ready. So let's go straight into it. So what cybersecurity roles are currently for you in high demand, and why are they crucial in today's landscape for Lockheed Martin?
I will say, Danny, that cybersecurity is, whether people realize it or not, cybersecurity is a part of everything we do. As soon as you touch the internet, as soon as you reach out into the world, the power grid, our banking systems, cybersecurity is everywhere. And it's kind of behind the scenes, so people don't think about it. But, from a Lockheed Martin perspective, kind of some of the crucial needs that are in high demand are things like software engineers, ISOs, an information system security officer, and an ISI, an information system security engineer, systems engineers, and then just general cybersecurity systems engineers. So, those are probably the key roles.
And why do you find that they're so crucial in today's landscape?
They're part of everything we do. Just crucial in protecting our security, protecting, just our everyday life. So just making sure that things go flawlessly. I look at things like, self-driving cars. You know what I'm saying? And think about it. If something happened where your car got hacked, how easily you could get into an accident, or just simple things like that. Using those simple examples gives people a better perspective of why it's crucial.
Yeah, I love it. And we know that Lockheed has got it locked down over there in terms of security, so much so that you had to jump into your car outside the building. But I love it. And by the way, people are asking how they can connect with you. And I know it's Letitia Rourke on LinkedIn. So if you find yourself getting loads of invites, including me, you're going to get peppered with that too. So I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. Can you tell us how many of these type of roles Lockheed Martin is currently looking to fill?
Sure. Just within my organization, Danny, we have over 100 open positions, related to cybersecurity and intelligence that require the skill sets that I just talked about. But within Lockheed Martin as a whole, we have over 1,000 open positions, that require cybersecurity skills. And then I think about that just in the macro view. If a company like Lockheed Martin has over 1,000 open positions, you look at the macro view, and there's millions of open positions around the world in cybersecurity. So, from a STEM perspective, I'll put my plug in here for young students, who are thinking about what they want to do next. Getting involved early in things like code quests and cyber quests, and learning how to program, and learning a software language is just a skill that is needed every day now. So, for those young students who are thinking about what they want to do, I highly encourage them to get into STEM, to get involved in cyber, to get involved in coding.
I love it. And I'm just going to pivot on this with Haley and Peter in the room as well, because from a recruitment and a cyber expert point of view, what are the sort of jobs you're seeing within this area that you're seeing are the trend, the growth, the demand within the security space?
So the main topic right now would be GRC. So compliance, risk, and audit, right? Especially in the big banking firms. But like Tish said, security runs everything that we do. So, if our data is at threat to be compromised, then everything can shut down from there. So if you're looking for a specialty in a niche, I would definitely say GRC would be a fantastic route to go. But like I said earlier, general security engineers, it really takes getting into that company and understanding what it is they're looking for in a security engineer. But that's never a bad route to go either, because if you start general, then you can find a niche as you work through different things and you identify those things that you're naturally good at and you want to sharpen.
Yeah, and I would chime in from a cloud perspective, because everyone everywhere now is cloud. Mm-hmm. And data in the cloud needs to be secured as well. So if you want to get into cloud security is a big area, and it's not going away. It's only growing by the day, because organizations run what we call on-prem, meaning they have systems on premise, and they also have systems in the cloud. It's kind of like a hybrid. And they need people to be able to manage that data and make sure it's secure. The other side, going back to the GRC that she was talking about relating to that cloud subject, you have to be able to audit that cloud provider to make sure they're following all the governance and rules that you have to follow as a company. Because someone who's a customer, they're not hiring the cloud guy. They're hiring you as a bank, for example. So it's your responsibility to do due diligence for them. So that's one area. And two other areas real quick is DevOps is another one. Yep. Because that's where the coding comes in at Python, Ruby, some of the other scripting languages that are out there, because that's, again, things that need to be secured as well, because coding has been around a long time. I mean, I started in this industry, I hate to quote my age, but back in 88 as a COBOL programmer, just to kind of give you an idea.
COBOL, okay, one of my first ever jobs I ever got 20 years ago. Wow, I shouldn't have said wow. That was rude and offensive.
But it's been around for a while, and the problem is it's been insecure for a long time. And now, because of people like me, hackers, that can hack into that code, we can do some damage with it. And lastly is analysts. You got a lot of organizations that have a huge security operations center. It's called a SOC. And you need someone to analyze the threat feeds that are coming in to see, are you in a good defensive posture in case something happens, or you need to do something to be ready. So those are some of the type of things that are also out there high, and they're not going away at all.
Yeah, I love it. You know, as mentioned at the very beginning, we talked about the Impellum Group launched the STEM Council for Good to kind of ensure that we work with every community to create pathways for everyone who wants to work in STEM, from the underserved to underrepresented. Please take a moment. We sent the scan out of the QR code to learn more, but I'm also eager to hear from our panelists about resources and learning opportunities that have helped you in your career paths. So Tish, I'm coming back to you. Okay. Can you recommend any books, podcasts, magazines, tools or resources for our audience to continue learning about cybersecurity?
You know, one thing I'll say is, you know, I encourage everyone to just look at the media every day. Every day there is a new article on cybersecurity. I was just reading an article yesterday about telling you not to plug in your cell phones at hotels, you know, an alert from the FBI not to plug in your charge your phones at hotels and airports, because
I wish you would have told me that yesterday. I'm staying in a hotel in Atlanta.
You know, but there's an article like that every day. So, you know, to see just the broad breadth of issues and concerns. We all heard about the Colonial Pipeline hack. We heard about the power grid going out in Texas. You know, things like that are everyday occurrences, and they give you an idea of the breadth of the issues and demands of a cybersecurity professional.
Yeah, I love that. And Peter, we'd love to hear some of your recommendations if possible.
Go ahead, Tish.
No, go ahead, Peter.
There's so many different areas. I mean, from the physical books themselves or electronic books, you have Kevin Mitnick, who is one of the biggest hackers that ever came out of the United States. He has a book called The Art of Deception that's been around for a long time, but a really good read. And there's several others from that side. On the online, more or less magazine perspective of things, or periodicals, you have Dark Reading, which is a great source. They kind of keep that updated all the time, relating to things like Trish just spoke about. Bleeping Computers is another. And I know these names are pretty crazy, but they are pretty good sources. and lastly, like Cyber News is another great one. And the other thing you can do as well, and I get them all the time, you can get weekly newsletters or daily newsletters from organizations about current things that are going on. Like SANS is a phenomenal organization relating to cybersecurity. They put out all kind of information from weekly updates to daily updates. And a lot of things that she's talking about and others are pretty much written in there, and they kind of just give you a link to go to the actual article to learn more about it. Another great source. Podcast, you got Security Now. You have the CyberWire. You have Darknet Diaries. So there's a list there. And then as far as the tools go, which for the person who's actually trying to learn this stuff, there's great tools. And two of the best tools that I know of is their operating systems, Kali Linux, because it has a whole slew of cyber tools. And so does Parrot. It has a slew of cyber tools. They're kind of competitive, but they pretty much offer a lot of the same things. Because they have Metasploit in it, they have Wireshark, all these tools that you need to do, the learning that we keep talking about. But you also need a platform. So I would highly recommend, if someone's never used VirtualBox, it's free. It's from Oracle. Download VirtualBox, put it on your machine. Then you can pull down Kali Linux as operating system and add it as a virtual machine. Pull down the Windows 11 box, 180-day rather eval version, put that on the box. Now you have a playground to play with. That's where you get your hands-on experience. And now all the things you've been reading, learning about, you can actually actively do.
Wow, that was a long list, and I hope we recorded this, or I hope we had to translate the script there, because we have. So I've got someone in the room going, "Yes, Danny, it's all good," because there was a plethora of great resources there, and if people just spend a bit of time focusing on that, they'll learn and take away so much knowledge. Peter, thank you so much for that. Tish, thank you so much for that. Haley, what about you? What are your favorites?
Yes, so I love what Peter just said, because actually there's a couple things on my list that he already said. So I really want to be able to emphasize those things. So these are podcasts and books that I have gathered from candidates who have recommended what has helped them grow in their career, because I work with a lot of senior candidates, right? So Security Now by Steve Gibson is a great podcast. The Darknet Diaries by Jack Reisiter, Smashing Security by Graham Cluley and Carol Therault, and then Risky Business by Patrick Gray and Adrian Bulow. And then a couple books that I've heard. Kevin Mitnick was top 2. He has 2 books out, The Art of Invisibility and The Ghost in the Wires, I heard are phenomenal books. And then there was another one that was kind of more technical that candidates have recommended that helped them along their career, was Threat Modeling, which is Designing for Security by Adam Shostak. And then actually, I want to be able to plug the B-Sides Tampa Tech conference as well, because I got to meet a lot of vendors who were providing those different resources and tools from their company that are allowing entry-level candidates to kind of gain that technical experience. A lot of coders, they use projects on GitHub and different things. Well, what do you do in security? There was one company, I can't remember the name of it, but they actually let you work in a SOC. They had a QR code. I actually have it that I can send, and we can put it out as a resource as well. But if you're interested in working in a SOC, they have to where you can actually go in and build one and basically like online do it. And it gives you that hands-on experience so that then you can maybe list that as a project on your resume when trying to break in somewhere. So there are so many different resources out here. There is no lack of information, no lack of resources. It's really getting plugged to the right people who can direct you to those resources so that you can be successful in your career.
And Danny, one more piece can I add to what Haley said? Very big. On your resume, people want to know, do you have hands-on experience? They're not asking you, did you work in a big corporation to get those hands-on experiences? If you set up one of the labs from what I just told you, and you're actually in there working through projects and dealing with different operating systems, things like that, you have hands-on experience. Maybe not to the level that they are, but you're not starting from scratch. And that is a viable statement now to put on your resume. I understand how to use Metasploit, for example, because you've used it.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of think out of the box a little bit, and don't think just because it says so much, you don't meet any of those requirements.
Yeah, I love it. And just following on from this, thank you so much, firstly, for all of that. And what I love the most is the passion that comes from each and every one of you talking about the tools that you have available to you that you've obviously utilized, and you're giving recommendations to people that should help them so much. You're giving them the kind of cheat code of how to learn quickly about all this amazing stuff that's out there. And Tish, I'd like to ask you a question. So if someone was interested in pivoting into the cybersecurity space, what programs and learning opportunities would you recommend?
Sure. I'm going to kind of follow up a little bit with what Peter was saying relative to kind of that hands-on experience. Go work in a lab. Go code something. But if I kind of take that step back and say, how do you get, engineer? What does engineering teach you? Engineering teaches you how to solve hard problems, and from that, go and be a cybersecurity engineer. But but what I'll also put a plug for, we talk about getting an engineering degree. I was just talking to a Lockheed Martin employee recently who actually, had this non-traditional career where had a degree in kind of a life science type background, and ended up going and getting a cybersecurity certificate degree, and really kind of thrived in industry and got a job in Lockheed Martin, where actually utilizing that cybersecurity certificate and now she's actually getting her master's degree in cybersecurity. So, many different paths to get to this cybersecurity jobs. Having the ability to solve hard problems with limited resources, um, solving complex problems in a team. So being able to work individually and work in a team. And now we've got the challenge of how do we work not all in the same workplace where we're working virtually. So
Yeah.
being able to work in a team where you're independent, not working right next to each other. So all of those skills kind of play into being a cybersecurity professional.
I love that. I love that. And it's funny, even the soft skills are not really soft anymore. They're quite hard to find. And it's so important to collaborate no matter where you are. Even if you're in a car doing a panel. So, we've got to do what we've got to do. Thank you, Tish. Thank you so much for that. Peter, would you like to add anything here?
One of the things I'd like to add is a lot of people think to learn and get training, you have to have money. And most students don't have money. So, and using them as an example, there's so many free resources. LinkedIn Learning, for example, free resource. Believe it or not, YouTube has some really good full courses out there on Python, on Kali Linux, on other things that you may want to learn, ethical hacking, and they're full courses. So you really just have to maybe buy a book, get some of the virtual things I've been talking about, and watch a YouTube video, and your knowledge will grow overnight just from something like that didn't cost a lot of money. So you got to look into those free resources until you can get to a company maybe that's willing to help put you into a boot camp or something that you can get a little bit more knowledge in to get that certification, if that's what you need to get into that position. But you have to really look at all the tools that are out there, and there are so many.
I love it. We have about 10 minutes left. So I've got a few questions that I'd like to, we're not in speed rushing like talking, but there's quite a few that I'd really want to get through. So I'm always excited to learn how organizations are doing more from a diversity, equity, and inclusion point of view and perspective. Tish, I'm going to ask you the question around companies like Lockheed Martin champion women, and how do they, and underrepresented groups in cybersecurity, and what impact does that have on the industry? Because the stat is 23% in America right now for women in engineering roles, and it's amazing to see you, Tish, in a leadership role at Lockheed Martin, leading the way. But I'd love to know what Lockheed Martin are doing more for women and underrepresented groups.
So, Danny, we haven't done as well as we expected. You use 23% of women in industry, but I'll say, when I went to engineering school, over 30 years ago, there was 20% women in engineering school back then, and we're not much higher if we're only at 23%, 30 plus years later.
Yeah.
So still a lot of work to be done. But, I will say I just recently attended, Lockheed Martin has an annual women's women's forum that, we bring together all the women in Lockheed Martin. And I will say that, from you quoted a national statistic probably, but there are 29% of our employees at Lockheed Martin are women, and 28% are women executives. But how are we investing in the future? We have partners. We have a partnership with Girls Inc. and Million Girls Moonshot to demonstrate and to get girls to demonstrate an interest in STEM, and making sure that girls have confidence in their STEM abilities, and that they choose STEM careers, that their guidance counselors are giving them that option. That wasn't an option that my guidance counselor gave me 30 plus years ago. And then they're also given access to high quality learning experiences, that hands-on experience that Peter and Hallie talked about. It's not just kind of the book smart, it's the hands-on experience. And then give them mentors that they see, hey, yes, I'm not the first one to do this. So, seeing those experiences is what's key. So we're making investments, we're mentoring, and trying to grow the resource groups.
And I think you're doing a hell of a lot, it sounds like, excuse my language. And it sounds like, I know you said we could do more. We can always do more. And I think just even having these conversations today is exactly that. It's creating that awareness, creating that education, creating that understanding. Haley, I'd love to hear your perspective as well on
Yeah,
this.
absolutely. So I think all of the things that Lockheed Martin is doing to make an initiative forward to really support women in tech is so crucial. I also think that it's important to have someone like me in my role really be able to show women in tech that, you know, you can be strong and fearless and bold in what it is that you're doing and still love tech. I think tech gets a lot of negative, like, oh, you got to be nerdy, you know, da 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 da. But at the end of the day, you can be highly intelligent. You can still be a boss. You can still be beautiful. You can still be all of the things that you want to be in this role and still be a high level cybersecurity engineer, analyst, compliance analyst, whatever it is that you want to be. I think a lot of times, you know, especially for my age group, the millennials, we're caught up in the hype of the social media, the TikTok, all these different things. So it's not necessarily cool to be in tech. Well, guess what? Tech, you make money. Tech is the future. So do you want to be caught up on the likes and the social media and the status, or do you actually want to be able to create an impact? So I think really having leaders like Tish in their role, who are especially in management, really being able to be that mentorship to women who want to step out and be in these types of careers, it's so crucial. And the things that they're doing to pour back into the community is going to continue to help it grow. And then I just hope that I'm able to help align with that mission and really show women that you can be empowered. You still can be yourself. You can still do whatever it is that you want to do and still be in tech. It's important.
That was a mic drop statement. I love that. Now, usually I'd go around the room, but I'm conscious we've got about 4 minutes, and I know that there were questions from the audience. I'm not going to be able today. We're going to have to do a part 2. It feels like, because there's so many questions coming in. I've loved the chat. And I've still got a couple that I really want to get through. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to move into these final questions. And I'm not asking you to push on the time, but I kind of am a little bit from a management of time perspective. So, I'm going to ask Tish and Haley this. And what are the challenges of recruiting top talent for cybersecurity roles, and how can companies overcome them and build strong teams?
Sure, Danny. You know, I think, you know, that I talked about kind of this talent shortfall. So, you know, we've got to attract new talent. We've also got to there's 2 parts to the problem, but we've also got to retain the talent that we have. So, going to start on the retention piece first to say, hey, as industries, what are we doing to retain our talent that we have? You know, and this is where we're constantly looking at pay and compensation. We're constantly looking at benefits and perks. We're constantly looking at how do we differentiate ourselves from the competition, and we're also looking at how can we be creative in offering to train the existing employees that we have. You know, we talked about upskilling our talent that we have. Maybe, you know, maybe the skills that they have don't apply, but we know they have an ability to solve hard problems. So if I just give them a little bit of training while at work, then they can do another job. So first and foremost, how do we retain the talent that we have? And then from an attraction perspective, it's getting ourselves out there to, you know, in general, to attract new talent from to our corporation. And I say that from the perspective of doing things to encourage STEM in schools, getting more younger students into this into what Haley says, you know, hey, being an engineer is a nerd or a geek, you know, that it is fun, encouraging things. Like I said, we just hosted a cyber quest in March, and we're going to host a code quest in April, just next week, and getting more. We've got to grow the number of students and employees in this engineering cybersecurity space.
I love it.
So great.
Okay, we will answer the question. Just so I've just had this pop up. So just like, I know everyone thought I was looking upstairs. I've just had it pop up say we will answer questions after this. but after the event, because we're on our last minute, and I'm going to ask a couple of really questions that I would want 1 line, 2 line answers if possible. First question is for you, Peter and Tish. If there was only one thing you hope the people in the audience learn to do as a result of our conversation today, what would it be?
The one thing is that I'd leave with the audience is, hey, at Lockheed Martin, we've got over, my cyber and intelligence business, we've got over 100 open positions in cyber, and within Lockheed Martin corporate wise, we've got over 1,000 open cyber positions.
That's it. That's enough. Oh, wow. Okay. There's enough for all of you. That's amazing. Thank you, Tish. Peter.
I think the one thing I would kind of focus on is never too late to learn. Age does not matter in this field. You can take someone who's 24 managing someone who's 25 or 35. So it's who wants it more. And the more hungry you are, the more you can get after it, the more you'll progress and grow into an organization like Lockheed or any other defense contractors. So opportunities there is available for you, and you just have to step out and take that first step, and you'll be surprised how many people will actually support you.
Amazing. Love it. And the final thing, call for courage for everyone in the room. If there was one action you'd like your audience to take after our conversation, what would it be?
I'll start.
To all of you.
I'll start, Annie. I'd say get involved. Work within our field requires more than just the office time. Volunteer with your schools, K through 12, to instill a passion and interest in cyber in our next generations. Geeks and nerds, we're the cool guys, guys and gals. Work with your schools to help your teachers shape their curriculum and teach it. Kind of push back our desires and needs to those teachers. Let them know what we do and how that they can help their students best to be prepared for the next step. And then mentor and network. Mentor as many students as you can. Make it personal. Make it a big deal. Make them feel. So now I'll pass it over to Peter.
Thanks, Trish. I would just add to that. The mentorship is huge. And like I said earlier, it comes in so many forms and fashions. But the biggest thing is make yourself available. Because as a mentor, of course, there's a lot of people who want information. And you really have to figure out what each individual is looking for because they're all different. Secondly, though, as the individual, get involved with ISC Square, ISACA, other organizations that house technical people that can help pull you up. Because again, as the water table rises, so do all the boats, right? So you want to be one of those boats that rise as the water goes up. And that's where you get it from mentorship.
And Haley, do you want to finish us off?
Absolutely.
With the last line?
Absolutely. I love what Tish and Peter said. And what I'm going to plug is that each of you on this call better connect with all 4 of us who are speaking right now, because each of us have overlapping networks, but we also have different networks. So this is really your opportunity. Peter and Tish both spoke about mentorship being crucial. Well, your next mentor might be in our network. All right. Your next opportunity might be at Lockheed Martin. So we need you all to be able to connect with us, reach out to us, let us know who you are so that we can connect back and really be able to build that relationship so that you can be successful moving forward.
Love it. Thank you so much. And guys, if you do try to connect with me, I'm maxed out on LinkedIn, so please follow. Please follow the STEM Counts for Good. Please apply for a job if you're looking for one with Lockheed Martin. I want to thank you all for attending today. I'm sure there's so many pieces of nuggets that you can take away with you. I've seen so many comments, so many questions that we will come back. Thank you for the people behind the scenes, Shellen, Brandy, and our very own Lockheed Martin, Katie, who have helped put this all together. And of course, thank you to our wonderful panelists. I'm so grateful for all of you, for your open, honest, and enlightening conversation. It couldn't happen without all of you. So thank you so much for giving up your time today. And I also appreciate that it wasn't that easy getting out of Lockheed Martin. So thank you for making it work as well, Tish.
Thank you for all your support and your help. And like you say, all the people behind the scenes that made this happen. Appreciate all the support.
Thank you, team. Have a lovely rest of your week, everyone, and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.